we're going to be talking about thrive. And this is where you're living the dream. Okay. Now, people think, oh, this is like perfection. And that's not true. There's always going to be things in life that are hard. If you're an organization that's thriving, you know that things are still going to go wrong, right? Things break down, systems break down, clients are unhappy. And so thrive doesn't mean everything is perfect, but it does mean that you're where you want to be. And we're going to talk through, what do those stages look like? What does it look like to be in thrive? Like, how do I know that I'm there? How do I know that we're healthy?
Welcome to Returning to Us podcast, the podcast where we help people who help people.
Burnout, stress, disconnection, we've all been there.
But what if there was a way back to balance? Here at Five Ives, we blend cutting-edge research with practical strategies to help you move out of survival mode into clarity, calm, and lasting resilience.
We are in the middle of our series on the 5 Ives, which are the stages of healing and growth. This is for individuals and for organizations, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And if you've been following along, you know that we have talked through the first several stages. So we talked about, what does it look like to be in survival mode? So this is often after something bad has happened to us, we go into this stage. Some people may chronically live in survive mode because of trauma that they had as a child or something they've been through even as an adult. And so we talked about, what does it look like to be in survival? How do we get out of it? We talked about the next stage, which is revive. And that's really where we're working on the healing that needs to take place. It's a gentle process. It's a slow process. It's not a slam you into thrive. We think that stage is so important and often skipped. Once you get out of that, you go into strive, and that's really where you're making plans for the future and you're making those habit-based goals and strategies to get in a routine, so that now I'm working toward healing and health. I'm collaborating with others. So we've talked through all of those, and today we're going to be talking about thrive. And this is where you're living the dream. Okay. Now, people think, oh, this is like perfection. And that's not true. There's always going to be things in life that are hard. If you're an organization that's thriving, you know that things are still going to go wrong, right? Things break down, systems break down, clients are unhappy. And so thrive doesn't mean everything is perfect, but it does mean that you're where you want to be. And we're going to talk through, what do those stages look like? What does it look like to be in thrive? Like, how do I know that I'm there? How do I know that we're healthy? But we're also going to talk individually too. And so we're going to share with you, what does thrive look like? But I do want to give a little preview for those of you that haven't heard the 5 Ives before, that thrive is really not the final stage. And a lot of people think it is. That's where we want to be, is thrive. And listen, if we're all in thrive mode, that's great. Okay. But really, the change making happens with people who move beyond that into Hive. So we're going to talk about that in the next video. So right now, go below, click subscribe, make sure you have the notifications turned on, because when we post that video, it's going to change your life. But today we're talking about thrive, which also might change your life. And so how do we know, Lauren, that we are here? Like, we've reached thrive, we've come out of strive, and this is where we are. We've landed in thrive.
There are a few things that we kind of earmarked as like, okay, these would be like telltale signs that you're probably in the thrive state. And it's not an all-encompassing list, but it's the ones I feel like are probably the most obvious, the ones. I think like when you're in the survival, even revive, even strive state, like one of the first things to go and not go so well is like your communication. It's like your communication with your partner, your communication with your family. Obvious sign for me, communication with my kid. Like, how much can I tolerate before I'm snapping? Communication in the workplace. So when I'm in thrive and I know it, my communication's good. Like, I'm like, okay, like when something sets me off, like, boop, I can get right back. Like, I can communicate well. I can voice my feelings. I can do so in a tone that's respectful. In the workplace, it's the same for me. Like, I can communicate in a way that is kind and gracious and compassionate, and I'm not just like bluntly stating something. So like neutral, healthy communication is an obvious indicator for me that I'm in my thrive state.
Yeah, organizationally, this is going to look like people's communication internally is healthy. So conflict resolution seems pretty straightforward. You know, you guys have processes in place for if something isn't going well and you guys have disagreements. There's clear communication. We've talked about like transparency, and even I would say vulnerability in our communication with others is a key part of this. So healthy communication, but also not just internally, but externally.
Yeah.
So are you communicating well when things go wrong with a client? Are you able to work through difficulty if you're trying to together a deal and things aren't going the way that you'd like, or you have an unhappy client or something like that? You're able to communicate in healthy ways. And, we talk a lot about what does it look like to communicate healthy, and, definitely like follow our channel. We talk about, what does it look like to be regulated and communicate well with others, things like that. But this is just one of those things where if you guys have really consistently healthy communication, that's probably a really good sign that if you're not in Thrive yet, you're probably going to be soon. Because like Lauren said, it's usually one of the first things to go when there's dysregulation individually or organizationally.
Yeah. I think about a good example of like organizationally that I've experienced Thrive versus Strive versus Thrive is like I had an organization that was doing a lot of work to like improve company culture and like workplace environment. And I would say they're definitely in the Strive. But what communicationally told me they were in Strive versus Thrive is like I knew I wouldn't get in trouble for going and like voicing ideas, opinions, concerns to leadership, but I never felt like there was an open door to do that. Like I know that some of the organizations in Thrive because they're like, we want to hear from you. We want to hear how we can improve. We want feedback. Like they open that door versus just like the opposite, which are not the opposite, but like Strive state is like, well, we won't punish you for doing that, but we didn't open the doors. Like that's just like a very little difference that I would see between an organization in Strive and an organization in Thrive. It's basically maturity. Like how mature is your organization?
I love that. And one reason why that's a helpful way to think about things is that we're all on a journey toward maturity. And so, like emotional maturity, and I would say like maturity in our healing journey. And so, when you are on a journey and you're here and then you get here and then you get here, like there's going to be signs. And what she's saying is like it's okay if you're here. Like if you're in a place where you guys are striving toward this and you're like, we need some help, we want to move forward, we want to grow, we want to change, we're striving, like that's good, that's a step, right? There's some places that are like, I will fire you if you say your opinion. I actually have worked for an organization like that. Okay, you want an opinion here? Who do you think you are? Get out. That's unhealthy. That is an organization that is clearly not in any healthy stage at all, and they need a lot of help. When we come into, okay, like I can hear this, I'm ready for it, that's good. But if you're thriving, like she said, you've taken it a step further. And so it's okay to be on a journey. It's okay to acknowledge maybe I'm not in Thrive yet, but when you are, you'll start to see changes and differences in the way that people communicate. And I would say a lot of the reason is because of emotional regulation.
Yes.
So one of the biggest signs that you are in Thrive as a person is you are able to regulate your emotions. We talk a lot about the window of tolerance, which is essentially like, this is the space that I can exist in and be calm, I can be okay, I'm regulated. And if something takes us outside of that, either we get, angry, aggressive, we go up into our, oh gosh, now I just hyper arousal, right? I'm like, I'm about to say the wrong thing. So we go into hyper arousal, or we go down to hypoarousal and we shut down and we stop communicating. Getting outside of that window of tolerance is going to happen in life, but how easily can you come back into it? So when there's a stressor, when something takes you outside of it, are you able to come back into it? And then also, how big is that window? Some of us, our window of tolerance is like, it's like that's survive. When we're in survive, everything makes us frustrated, overwhelmed. I can't do it. I'm angry, I'm upset, or I shut down completely.
Yep.
When we're in thrive, we have a big window of tolerance. And when we come outside of it, we can come back into it in a healthy way.
Yeah, 100%. I think those two tie together so nicely. And even as someone who knows these steps and has worked through steps and has tried really hard to like stay and thrive and hive, like there are definitely still days. Here's a great example. I used to run a business around like behavior regulation and parenting coaching. And people would always say to me, oh my gosh, you're going to be the most perfect parent. Like you're going to do everything right. Like, you know, all of this stuff and you do it so well. And we watch you coach everyone so well. And I used to laugh and I'm like, okay, I'm still a human being and humans still go into like dysregulated states and humans are still stressed and no one else knows like what's going on in the background of my life. But yes, I have this skill set to stay and thrive all the time. But if I did that, I would be one, it's unrealistic expectation, but I'm a human being. I have feelings, I have struggles, I have stressors. I have the same nervous system that everyone else has. And that nervous system was created for me to handle stress and be able to get out of stress. The biggest
Right.
difference is like, again, how big or small is that window? Like when you leave the window of tolerance, when you get upset, how long does it take you to come back?
Mhm.
How much does it take to get you out of that window of tolerance? Like that's when you know you're in thrive. I'm like, okay, I do leave and I don't need to have shame for when I leave. I don't need to have guilt for when I leave. I can have grace for myself and compassion for myself. But I know I'm in a thrive state because I'm like, okay, within 15 seconds of yelling at my kid for smashing a whole carton of eggs on the floor, I go back and I do the repair work and I apologize. I'm like, okay, I'm not in thrive because I got upset.
Mhm.
I'm in thrive because I went back immediately and apologized.
Mhm. Yeah, and it becomes easier, and this is why we think it's so important to go through the stages the right way.
Yeah.
Because if you skipped revive and strive and you think, "Hey, I'm just going to jump straight from this survival mode into I'm thriving and I'm doing everything right." What happened is all of those underlying reasons why you leave your window of tolerance and why your window of tolerance is so small and why you have a hard time coming back into it, if you haven't done any of that work, then it's going to show up. And this is true organizationally too. Like you can have a new CEO come in and create all these policies, change everything, turn it upside down. But if there's no healing work that took place, you're going to start to see this organizationally.
Yep.
Like people people like make up organizations, right? So if people are used to small window of tolerance at work, small ability to emotionally regulate, right? Like they don't have the capacity for it. Even if you have a better boss and you have better policies and things are changing in the organization, what's going to happen is something's going to go wrong. We are people, we disappoint people, or something that you have in place isn't going to work right.
Mhm.
Those people, if you've not done the work to repair that relationship, you've not done the work to help people to regulate better at work and like created an environment for that, their window of tolerance is still this big. What do you think is going to happen when that thing goes wrong? People are still frustrated, overwhelmed. They don't want to show up to work. They don't want to be there. And it doesn't matter that you're the best boss ever who has the best system in place because you didn't do the healing work. You skipped that part and you're going to see it. People are going to not communicate well, they're not going to be regulated. And then also, one of the next things we're going to talk about is social connection. People aren't going to want to have anything to do with you. If you haven't done the repair work, if there's no trust, they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to be around you at work or outside of work. And it makes it really difficult for all those other things to happen because there's no healthy communication, there's no repair work being done. And so that social connection piece ends up just falling away completely because people don't want to be around you. If you're in Thrive, that social connection piece, you're going to start to see it more. People want to be around each other. People want to work together. People, because communication is healthy, they start communicating more.
Mhm.
Like crazy ideas, you know? People are able to engage with each other and want to be together. And that's a huge sign that the organization is in a thrive state, is people want to connect. And this is true personally too. Like we talked about this, if you are emotionally dysregulated all the time, everything is really difficult, everything is overwhelming in life, you don't want to connect with people because people are annoying. People will disappoint you. And people are great. We need people in our life. But those disappointments and those annoyances in life, they're going to create problems that we just can't deal with and we're going to check out. Versus when we're in Thrive, we have that space for ongoing social connection with people, which really makes life so fun and, you know, worthwhile.
There are like two things that popped into mind as you were sharing. I was thinking like social connection, like it's a biological need for all of us at any age. Like infants need social connection to literally stay alive and thrive. Young kids need it to develop emotional regulation. Teens need it because, well, just teens and hormones. But I think about, okay, think back eons ago, hunter-gatherers. Like we were literally in a tribe of people. If you did not socially connect to that tribe, you were on the outside. You're on the outside. You get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Like you had to be a part of that collective. And that's how our species survived. So like biologically, how our bodies and brains are wired is to connect, to belong, to be a part of. So one, if you're not desiring that or having that, it doesn't need to be like a huge network of people. It can be a smaller network, but just deeply, closely connected. If you are not having that, sensing that, needing that, like it's kind of like anti-biological. And again, this is not like, okay, introverts are wrong. No. That's not at all what we're saying here. We're just saying like connections with social beings and sense of belonging, however big or small that is important for our longevity and well-being. Beyond that, like if you have the resistance to that, it might be because you genuinely feel like you don't have the energy to put into social interactions. And when I think about that, when I'm like, oh, I'm too tired to attend this work event, or I'm too tired to connect with this person, or there's like resistance there, it tells me I'm not in Thrive. I'm maybe in Survive, possibly in Arrive, maybe even Strive, but I'm definitely not in Thrive. And that's probably because all my energy is going to trying to regulate my emotions, trying to communicate better, trying to survive at work. Like if you don't have any energy, that's a good sign that you're probably back in Survive. And if you do have a lot of energy to connect, even if you're not a more extroverted person, you will want to socially connect. You'll want to be around people. You'll want to do stuff with them. So these are all like just good indicators of how am I as an individual in these stages and steps? How is the organization I work for? How are organizations I'm a part of? How are organizations that I'm just connected to?
Yeah, and really one of the last things, so we're talking about, and you'll notice we talk about like, hey, here's some signs where you might not be, because we like throughout our life, oftentimes we kind of come out of this Thrive phase, even if we're here. And so, we are able to kind of come back through the stages a lot easier if we've done the groundwork. So we want to point that out. But one of the final reasons why you might know I'm in Thrive, either our organization is thriving or I'm thriving as an individual, is living the dream. Like you're in alignment with the values that you have, whether it's your family values or your organizational values, like you see it. You're like, oh, this is what I want to be doing, whether it's I'm doing the job that I was meant to be doing, or our organization is getting the clients that we always said we wanted to have. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm making millions of dollars and I'm doing all the things, right? Like that's not what Thrive means. It means I am living the dream, meaning I'm in alignment. I'm doing the things that I always said I wanted to do. And we often work with organizations, like we focus on organizations that are like frontline trauma care organizations. This is like a social worker, a social work organization. This is a hospital. This is a education system, a school or a preschool program, Head Start program. And when you know that they're in Thrive, you can see it because the way they're showing up to serve people is the way they intended to do it. Like the kids that they're serving, or the adults that they're serving, or the families that they're serving, the community that they're serving, they're able to do it in the way that they want to do it. They're able to show up in trauma-informed ways and like love people well. They're able to show up and serve people without their entire staff getting burnt out. Like you can see the alignment because they're doing mission-driven work instead of pants on fire, everything is burning down. What are we even doing? We have to just show up and do something. Like everybody's on fire and running around like crazy. It's like, okay, we come out of that and we're able to do it without losing our minds. That is usually a really good sign that we're in Thrive, we're doing the work, things are good, we're in alignment.
Here's a really like maybe plain, simple, straightforward example from my own life. Like if I talk through these 5 stages, a year ago in my own personal life, a really hard thing happened. I was definitely in survival state and I recognized it right away. I'm like, I'm in survival. And frankly, I can't even avoid survival because someone that goes through something like this naturally is going to land in survival. Like it's just the place to land when you deal with something that's so hard. So I'm okay, I'm in survival, breathe. What do I do next? I need to go into revival. Okay. I can't get there by myself. Like this is too overwhelming and too hard. So let me hire a coach. Let me like pull in some friends and family and say like, I need your help right now. Started working on the revival steps and went into Revive, spent probably almost a whole year in Revive. Like literally was like, not there yet, not there yet, not there yet. Like it's helping, I'm getting better, but I'm not there yet. And then I started to feel like I was entering into strive. How did I know as an individual in a family system that I was entering into strive? Because I, for the first time, started to really think about and plan the future. I was like, oh, I can envision like what's next. Oh, I can do some work stuff and feel like I'm actually not burnt out or I'm not exhausted. And one of the big things for me was like my family system and how I raise my kids, and intentionality behind that is really important. And I felt like in the last 12 months, I was failing them a little bit because I'm like, I'm in survival, I'm in revival. I'm like, I knew I'd hit stride because I actually started to kind of like plan bigger things. Like, oh, I'm planning a camping trip. Oh, you know what? I actually created our family values and posted them in our house. And now I know that I'm stepping into like 13, 14 months later, stepping into Thrive because I'm like, okay, I'm connecting with moms. I'm connecting with families. I'm actually like teaching and living out the family core values. So like this is evidence for me that I'm finally in the Thrive state. Now, I know that there's going to be stuff that happens in the coming weeks, in the coming months. It's going to take me out of Thrive. Doesn't mean I fail. Doesn't mean I'm like not doing it right. I'm probably going to go all the way back to Survive, but it's okay because now that I've done all this work to hit Thrive and I'm moving towards even Hive, when I fall backwards into Survive, I can move through Survive, Revive, and Strive and back into Thrive pretty quickly and know that I'm in Thrive and I can get myself back to Thrive pretty fast. So it takes time. I mean, hard things happen.
Yeah. And even organizationally, we've talked about this, like Lauren and I, when we came together to do this work together, we had been doing it separately. And I had experienced just some really like big difficulty in like relationally in a job that I had had, and things were just really terrible. They were really awful to me. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm not working with anybody or for anybody. I'm going to work by myself forever. But like we talked about, we need social connection. We need that. And I realized I was coming into this Thrive almost even through our partnership, like we were able to kind of like carry each other through the stages in some ways, both going through really difficult situations, in our personal lives and with work things going on or whatever. And we were able to work through this together because we had that connection. But now we talked a lot about, man, like this is so in alignment. Like this is what we want to do. We want to help people through this. We know how hard it is to be in these difficult stages of Survive and even Revive and Strive. It's hard work to do it by yourself. And that's the work we do, is we help organizations that are going through this difficulty, individuals within organizations that are really, really struggling. We want to make sure those people feel seen and heard and known because we know what it's like to live in alignment. So next time, we talked about, we gave a little hint at the beginning, this is not the end. This is not it. This is a really great place to be, but there is one more Ive, which is Hive, which we're going to talk about next time. So don't forget, subscribe below, turn on notifications because we're going to be dropping Hive soon.